Page 156. I'm going to share my screen with you now. Okay, so last lesson we talked about how doing market research uh, is important. We talked about two ways information is gathered, data is gathered for the research. One was primary, the other one was secondary. Primary was that we collected the data raw, it was original data, compiled and collected for the purpose of the business, the purpose that they had for the research. They collected the data themselves. While for secondary, we gained and collected data from other people, let's say, data that are collected in the past for different purposes, not the purpose of your business. But those data are kind of relevant to your research. Okay? So we talked about the methods of collecting data from secondary sources. We talked about the internet, government publications, newspapers and magazines, libraries, market research agencies, and business records. Today, we are going to do the same thing for primary market research. So what are the sources for primary market research, or what are the methods of primary market research? Okay, so we classify primary information data into two. It could be quantitative or it could be qualitative. Okay, I'm sure you know the difference between the two. Quantitative means that the data we get could be measured. So it's numerical data. While qualitative, it's information that you cannot measure. Let me give you an example to both. This might be useful. So an example to quantitative information would be what price do you think is suitable for my product? Remember, you're asking these questions to potential customers. What do you think is a suitable price for my product? An example to qualitative would be, what do you think about the product? So in answering that question, people will tell you their opinion. It's an answer, but it's an opinion, so you can't measure it. You can't put it into quantitative information, which makes so you have to keep in mind that the methods that we're going to talk about later would either fall into a quantitative method or a qualitative method. Obviously, if it's quantitative, it has its own benefits, and also you can benefit from qualitative data. But businesses usually try to rely on quantitative methods because it's easier to make conclusions about. Qualitative, it I could have different opinion about what they mean. So it's not very objective, the qualitative ones, and you can't measure them, which means you can't make reliable conclusions about them. Okay, so first method is focus group, we call it. Okay, so what is it? Well, look at the picture. So in the picture, you have, let's say, a number of potential customers for the products that I'm providing. Let's say it's a shampoo. That guy should not be in the focus group if it's a shampoo, but regardless. Let's say it's a shampoo. So what I do is that I go and pay these people who are just random people who are interested in making some money. And they're interested also in improving the product that I'm providing because they want to be good customers. Whatever the reason is for them participating, they apply. Okay, I pay them and they come to my business to answer my questions. So it's just a meeting that I have as a representative of the business. By the way, guys, someone answer me. Can you guys record now the lecture or not?
I'm already recording.
Okay, good. So,
Sir, they're already recording. It works.
sorry, Dustin, what?
I think it works, sir. But some people are just using uh, other resources to just screen record it, and they're just sending
Mm,
it to the group.
that's
So
fine.
I
That's
think,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine. That's good. Okay, so yeah, what they do is that they come and we have a meeting, and there is a moderator from the business, a representative. We ask them questions like, "What do you think about my product?" So you give them the shampoo, and they look at the packaging. For example, do you think the packaging is nice, attractive? Or they smell it. Do you think the smell is nice or not? I could also ask them about what do you think is some room for improvement and so on. So these guys answer my questions. Okay, it's mostly used for consumer products, which means products that could be consumed, like a shampoo, like food, like a car. Okay, and it's qualitative, which is a disadvantage, I would say. Okay, so here under the limitations, it's not no numerical data could be obtained from focus group, so it's exclusively qualitative. And what that means and why it's a limitation, I just told you when I explained the qualitative type of research. And then it's time consuming to arrange. Why? For this reason. Well, how do you contact all these people? How do you select the candidates? The logistics of you coordinating a meeting between you and all these potential customers, all these participants. So that part is time consuming. You have to have somebody who does that for you. Either current employee that you have or you hire somebody to do the focus group for you. So that makes it expensive as well, by the way. You pay the potential candidates, so I would add expensive to this as well. Uh, so expensive. But remember, guys, for in the exam, you have to be able to explain why it's expensive, why it's time consuming, and why no numerical data is obtained, because we ask for our candidate's opinion. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 seconds to tell me if you have any questions about focus group, and then we are going to go to the second slide. Okay, so our next second method of primary market research is observation. I don't know if you remember the videos we watched when we started with marketing, the section, the video of the supermarkets and the techniques that they used in order to observe their customers' behavior while shopping inside their store. Uh, and I told you back then that that method was very, very reliable, and it was used extensively by multiple different businesses, but especially supermarkets. The reason was uh, this one. The participants, they don't know that they're observed, so they wouldn't behave abnormally. They would be themselves. They wouldn't be try to be nice to you uh, because you have the business. They would just act the way they would act normally by themselves. That's very crucial for market research. You want people to be honest about the opinion that they give you. This method that we talked about earlier does not have that. You pay them. Remember, you pay them, and they're in your house. So that's the biggest limitation, I would say, that this method would have, and I would actually add it to it. Some people, just to be nice, they would give you an honest opinion. Another reason they might not be honest is that, well, if you are in a group and four participants, you're the fifth participant, let's say, they all agree that the packaging is nice, but you don't think so. Usually, when the majority of the group has an opinion, you would follow. because you would wonder if there's something wrong with you, uh, because your opinion is different from them, right? So you would be shy about giving out a different opinion since the majority says something, you know. But this method does not have that, and in my opinion, that makes it very, very important. Okay, so hotels might use this method as well. What they do is that they invite people to the hotel, which are called mystery guests. They go and stay at the hotel, okay, just like any other normal customer. They would call in the service, they would use the services that the hotel has, and then after the experience, they would tell the hotel what they thought about the stay. The mystery guest, you might not even tell them that they're participating in a research, but later on ask for their opinion, you know? Okay. Now, how do you record their behavior? You might use CCTV camera, or you just would do what that creepy guy is doing with an iPad, with a tablet. Okay, limitations. Well, you have to have people like this creepy guy. You have to pay them, and they're really good in. Usually, they're psychologists or behavioral scientists who are good in interpreting people's behavior. You know, so but you have to pay them money, so it makes it expensive. Usually, it's a lot of money that you have to pay them because they're experts. Second limitation is that you can't ask uh, the participants why they behaved in a certain way. Some people, they just do things without thinking about it. They're just being random. There's no reason behind why they behave that way. So you can't make a reliable conclusion out of their behavior. It doesn't mean anything. And you don't have any opportunity to go to them and ask them why did they behave that way. So you might end up making wrong conclusions. So remember, these limitations to these methods are really important for writing essays, for answering questions, and so on. So make sure you know them. You guys are chatting, so let's see what you guys are talking about. Okay, how do I do this? Okay, Akar, give yourself a break, please. Who's Amar?
Sorry, sir. Who's who? Amar.
Who's
I think
Amar?
it's Amir. I think it's Amir.
Okay,
It's Amir.
okay. Okay, so let's go to our next method if you don't have any question about the second one. This one is test marketing, okay, or test market. So what you do is that, remember why we are doing this. We just want to make sure that our product is liked by customers. Listen, so this method was used recently by KFC when they launched a new product. It was their new Kentucky Grilled Chicken. They're not sure their new flavors in that chicken, and they were not sure whether people will like them because it was new. So what they did was that they chose a location. I think it was Missouri, but I'm not sure, in America. So they usually use a geographical location, a state, a city, a town. How they choose that city is based on some criteria which are complicated. Usually, it's based on that town culturally, socially, and so on, representing the entire market. So basically, you say if this town likes it, then everybody will like it. Okay, so let's say it's Slemani. So Slemani is chosen. You launch that product only in restaurants in Slemani, KFC in restaurants in Slemani. When you gather the data from the customers that actually used it in Slemani, then you go about launching it in other markets. It could be global. That's what test marketing is. Okay, so why do this? Basically, well, because you limit the risk of failure. Remember, if this new product failed, when it was launched on a full scale, the loss of KFC would be a lot of money, right? Because you made all this chicken and you sold it in all these restaurants and it failed. So it's a lot of money. So to reduce that risk, you just launch it somewhere. Even if it fails, it's not a big financially, it's not a big loss, you know. So you wouldn't launch it in other places. Big deal. So that's the idea. So as I said, you gather information in this small geographical location, loss is minimized, and then when you make sure that the product is good, then you launch it in the entire market. Okay, the limitation is obviously it's expensive. It's not like the other methods, it's not theoretical. You're actually making and selling a product, lose a lot of money. Okay, so it's expensive, and also it takes a long time. KFC's product took 3 years for that test to be done. So it was only being sold in one market for 3 years. So they've been collecting data from their customers for 3 years. After they made sure it was a success, then they launched it internationally.
Sir,
Okay? Yes.
is observation quantitative or qualitative? Qualitative.
Yeah. Yeah. So observation could be quantitative, it could be qualitative as well. It depends on how you interpret the information. Let me give you an example to how it could be quantitative. So let's say I want to know the frequency of times a customer goes to a certain corridor. That tells me how good that corridor is and how convenient it is for customers to find that corridor in a supermarket. So frequency of time of visit would be quantitative. While, let's say a customer, what could be, so let's say a customer went to a certain location, but spent and was happy inside that corridor. Let's say he was actually having fun. So what do you think is the reason they were having fun? Is
Sir,
because
can you
it's
go back
qualitative.
to the test market slide?
I am. Let me just answer a question that was asked about this slide, and then I'm going to go to that. Okay, so yeah, so qualitative would be why somebody behaved in a certain way. So somebody was dancing in the corridor. Somebody spent a lot of time inside in a certain corridor. So that could be qualitative, right? It was just somebody's behavior. You can't measure that. Like other people did not show the same behavior. So, but I would say it's mostly quantitative. Listen, let me give you another example to how quantitative observation could be used. Let's say you want to launch a parking business. You have a piece of land and you want to make it into a car garage, a car parking lot. So you go to that location and you sit down and count how many cars stay in your parking lot in a day, or how many cars by that street, pass by that parking lot in a day. That's observation and it's quantitative as well. I hope that answered your question, Dasan. I think. If not, this is the slide that you wanted. By the way, I'm going to send these to you right after the lecture. So each time we are done with the lecture, I'm going to send you the slides, by the way. Okay, so next slide. This is our final slide, and this is the final method of primary market research, um, which is consumer survey. Let me explain to you what survey means just quickly. Survey is, let's say, actually we did this last year with the year 10s. We did a research to find out what was lacking in the school cafeteria, rooms for improvement, and what was wrong with the current service in the cafeteria. So the students went and distributed questionnaires. A questionnaire is this word, questionnaire. is a paper that includes a list of questions that you ask participants. For example, what do you like the school cafeteria? What is your favorite food? How many times do you come to the cafeteria in a day? And so on. And so participants would tick and choose questions. Okay, so that's a survey. How many people like the cafeteria and so on. That's what a survey is. Okay, so how do we conduct a survey? We might do interviews. First picture. You just go to people physically, you meet them, shake hands, you ask them questions and they answer your questions and you would record, same way this woman is doing. You would record their answer. Okay. Now, it's not a very good idea sometimes because there is somebody from the business asking you questions. So most applicants, participants, just to be nice, they might give you misleading questions, or might give you questions that they haven't thought about. They have to do something, and you're taking their time. So they want to get over with it just quickly. So they would give you any answer you want just quickly, just to get over with, you know? So in that case, the information you obtained might be misleading. Only trained interviewers would detect those behaviors from the participants, and they would, rearrange the question, not let the participants go until they give him or her an accurate answer. But for that, to get the experienced interviewer, you have to pay them a lot of money, and that makes it expensive. So it's time consuming. That you have the problem of bias, and it's expensive because you have to hire someone, an experienced interviewer, to do the interview accurately.
Sir, what about online surveys?
Yeah. So second, we have postal surveys, which is the same concept, but instead of somebody going to people physically to ask the questions, you would post it to them. So using the postal service, it's a letter that contains the questionnaire. People receive it at their home or working place. They open it up, and then they would answer the questions. Um, and they have to mail it back to the business. Just think about how stupid that idea is. Nobody, I would say, is willing to do this. It's a random questionnaire from a business asking you to fill out this form and then mail it back to them. Very few people would do it. Only the ones who are already interested in the business would do it. So let's say Dustin is crazy about Ralph Lauren. He loves them. He's very, very loyal. So when he receives a message, a post from them, because he likes them, he might answer the question. But that's not what you want, because 100% of the posts that you receive back is positive, which is not good. You also want the opinion of people who are not interested in your business as well, for improvement. So that's criticism number one. Only people already liking the business would answer the questionnaire, so all their answers would be positive. And some people would treat it as junk mail, which is a random mail that it's not uh, directly, personally directed to you, so you wouldn't answer it. Okay. Third method is online survey. Same as postal survey, but you use the internet to do the survey. The advantage is that it's quick. You can cover millions of people at the same time, receive their answers, and analyze it electronically. But most people would again treat it as junk mail. They wouldn't answer it and they wouldn't send it back to you. And again, same as postal service, maybe only the ones who are already interested in your business would participate in the questionnaire and actually send back the answers to you. Okay. So these were the methods of primary market research, with their benefits and limitations. Which one do you choose is the question now. Well, the more you choose, the better. So in order to gain really accurate data, you might do focus group and observation and test market and consumer survey. Why? Because the more of these ones you do, the more reliable and accurate the data would become. but you can't sometimes because you're restricted by resources, time, and money. Okay? Which one, again, do you choose depends on the service that you provide and what the business is. Supermarkets, parking lots, and so on, maybe observation might be a good idea. For consumer goods, like a shampoo, like anything else, like clothes, maybe focus group would be a better idea. Okay, and so on. Test market. By the way, guys, car manufacturers use this a lot. So the more expensive the products that you want to sell, the more you would rely on test market. You wouldn't want, so Tesla, for example, would not go about launching their monster truck, the one that they made recently, globally right away. They would initially launch it in a state in America, then maybe make it national in America, and then go to different other countries once it's successful. Why? Because it's really expensive. So if it fails, then the cost would be a lot. It might actually endanger the existence of your business. Okay? So I want you to know all that argument for primary market research because it's an important consideration. Okay, so can you go back to what does it mean, chance of explanation? Oh, yeah, chance of explanation for the interview. That was a good question. I think I forgot to explain that. This is when sometimes when you receive a postal survey, there's a question that you don't really know what it means. So you're not sure what the question is asking for. And there's nobody to answer your questions and provide further explanation to what that question means. So you would give an answer anyways. But if it's an interview, you have that chance as a participant in the survey. The interviewer asks you a question. You're not sure what he means, so you ask for further explanation. Now that they understood what the question is, they will give you a reliable, accurate answer. That's what it means. I mentioned that in the interview part here. Right. Okay. Other questions? Let me see. Okay. What does it mean? Okay. Wouldn't this be expensive to the business instead of just sending them to interested people? I don't understand what that question means, Prusha. Sorry. Wouldn't this be expensive to the business instead of just sending them to interested people? How would the business obtain the emails? Yeah, so anytime you go to a store, sometimes ask for your emails. So they would say, sir, if you give us your email, then we would send you offers and discounts. You would know about them. New arrivals items. So most people would give them their emails and they would put your email inside their database and they would send you random emails like that, including service as well. He doesn't read. I do actually, Prusha. When someone purchases a product online, emails are asked by the business, and that's how, I guess. Smart pants. Exactly. I don't think bald men use shampoo. Okay. Yeah, bald. Okay, we're done. So if you have any questions, you can
Thank you,
ask
sir.
them now. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.